Autism Material Hub, N08012T, Global Neurodiversity Media, an automated podcast strategic framework. For decades, the path to global media dominance was paved with massive capital, sprawling newsrooms, and hundreds of specialized staff. Today, that legacy model is crumbling under the weight of its own overhead. In its place, a leaner, more lethal reality is emerging. A 3-person orchestration cell in Ho Chi Minh City is currently outproducing traditional media empires, reaching massive audiences in the US and EU. By leveraging the OpenClaw orchestration framework and the AI for Autism clinical ecosystem, this tiny team has bypassed the friction of traditional production. This isn't just a story about efficiency. It is the dawn of the agentic startup, where human empathy is scaled by a digital ghost workforce to solve the world's most complex information gaps.
What if I told you that you could run a global media company, reaching people all across the US and Europe, with a team so small you could count them on one hand? Well, today we're diving into a business plan that does exactly that, and it's all powered by some incredibly smart automation. So let's start with the most mind-blowing number, 3. The entire operation, we're talking strategy, content, marketing, the whole shebang for a global audience, is designed to be run by just 3 people.
So how on earth does a tiny team of 3 pull off something with a global reach? Well, here's the secret sauce: automation. A whopping 90% of the entire production process is handled by AI. The big question, of course, is how is that even possible?
Okay, so the plan is seriously ambitious. You've got this small, super agile team based out of Vietnam, and their goal is to produce a really high-quality, evidence-based podcast all about neurodiversity for Western audiences. And look, this isn't just some scheme to cut costs. It's a complete reimagining of how media gets made.
The mission statement here is absolutely key. The goal isn't just to pump out content, it's to create stuff that is clinically authentic and genuinely useful. And that's a huge challenge, especially in the healthcare space, right? Misinformation can do real damage.
All right, let's pop the hood and look at the engine that drives this whole thing. The entire system is built around one single, powerful piece of software that basically acts as the conductor for this whole automated orchestra.
It's called OpenClaw. And to be clear, this is not just another chatbot. Think of it more like the brain of the operation, or maybe the air traffic controller for the whole system. It connects all these powerful AI models to the team's own servers, which gives them total control. And this right here is the game changer. You see, a normal web chatbot is temporary. It lives in the cloud, and your data is on someone else's server. But OpenClaw is persistent and self-hosted. That means the team has direct control over their data. We call that data sovereignty, and when you're dealing with sensitive health topics, keeping that information secure is everything.
And make no mistake, this isn't some flimsy setup running on a laptop. The technical requirements show a serious professional-grade stack. We're talking Linux, lots of memory, super fast storage. They're even using tools like Docker, which basically ensures the software can run reliably anywhere. This thing is built to be robust and operate 24/7.
So why go through all the trouble of hosting it yourself? Well, this number is why. By running everything on their own infrastructure, the team can slash their AI processing costs by an incredible 78 to 96%. That kind of savings is what turns an ambitious global project from a pipe dream into a viable business for a tiny startup.
Okay, so the tech is impressive, for sure, but it's totally useless if the content it creates is garbage. That's why this whole thing is built on a rock-solid foundation of actual science, to make sure the podcast is delivering real value, not just AI-generated noise.
The key here is something called the AI for Autism ecosystem. Think of this as the AI source of truth. It ensures the AI isn't just scraping random stuff from the internet. Instead, it's grounded in real, peer-reviewed clinical research. This is the firewall that protects against speculation and misinformation.
And the science behind it is absolutely fascinating. They're using cutting-edge concepts like digital phenotyping. Basically, AI for Autism uses machine learning to analyze these super subtle, nonverbal behaviors, like how a person's eye movements coordinate with their physical movements. These are critical markers for autism spectrum disorder, and this is the kind of deep clinical data that's feeding the whole system.
So, with all this powerful automation, you're probably wondering, what do the three humans actually do? Well, this is where the model gets really clever. Their roles completely shift. They're not creators anymore. They're governors of the system.
The entire operation hangs on this one core principle, pulled straight from the plan, a human-in-the-loop methodology. What that means is, even though the AI does all the heavy lifting, every single piece of content is treated like a clinical artifact that needs rigorous sign-off from a real person.
And that sign-off process is no joke. It's a 4-layer verification system. You've got senior clinicians checking the medical facts, you have ethicists auditing for any potential stigma, you have the autistic community itself giving feedback on whether it feels authentic, and finally, engineers are making sure the tech is running smoothly. It's a really comprehensive system of checks and balances.
So once that human governance structure is in place, the AI agents are let loose, and they follow a clear 4-step production line. One agent collects and cleans up all the raw scientific data. Another agent synthesizes that into a script. A third agent proofreads and fact-checks that script. And then a final agent produces the audio and distributes the finished episode. It's like a content factory, but supervised by experts every step of the way.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second and talk strategy. Why run this from Vietnam to target the US and Europe? Well, it's all about using global infrastructure to go after very specific needs in the market.
If you look at the media landscape for autism right now, it's pretty much dominated by two things: general educational info and personal stories. I mean, together, they make up almost 90% of everything out there. So that gives us a really clear picture of what the market currently looks like.
Which naturally brings us to this question. In such a crowded space, how does a new podcast find an audience, even one with all this cool tech behind it? Where's the actual opening?
And here's the brilliant part. The plan answers that question by pinpointing specific underserved niches. The automated system can be fine-tuned to create content specifically about adult diagnosis, or female-specific traits, or practical advice for sensory issues, all these topics that the bigger players tend to ignore. This is how you do high-value targeted content at scale.
But of course, it's not all smooth sailing. Operating on a global scale means you have to navigate a maze of international laws. You've got new e-commerce regulations coming up in Vietnam, and at the same time, you have to comply with Europe's super strict GDPR and the new EU AI Act. This is where that human expertise in law and compliance becomes absolutely essential.
This quote really frames the bigger picture perfectly. This whole project isn't just about one podcast. It's a preview of a massive shift in how work gets done. We're moving toward what's called agentic AI, where AI systems aren't just tools we use, but are treated more like autonomous, digital members of the team.
So we have to end on this question. Is this what the future of media, and maybe a lot of other industries, is going to look like? Tiny teams of experts acting as conductors for a global workforce of AI agents, creating incredibly high-value products from literally anywhere on the planet? It is a fascinating, and you have to admit, a potentially world-changing blueprint for